Welcome everybody to the final edition, unfortunately, of Wrap It Up, the official post-game Bears show of Second City Gridiron. For those of you joining on the Second City Gridiron YouTube channel and on my Twitter at Jacob Infante 24, thank you to everyone who's coming in. Uh, Bummer. That's that's all I really got to say. The Bears, in the grand scheme of things, came so close to the NFC Championship, and it looked like it was literally just within reach. But at the end of the day, the Rams come away with a 20-17 victory over the Bears in the NFC divisional game. The season is over. Uh, I'm going to go through and summarize everything that I saw from the game to the best of my ability. If you're watching this live, feel free to send over any replies, comments, questions, anything you have about the game, about where do we go from here, about what does the offseason look like. I'll try and answer any free agency and especially your draft questions. Uh, but I will say thank you to everyone who's tuning in now. A little bit later than I usually like. But I mean, I went to the game, so no complaints there. It was still a great time, even though they lost. So I wouldn't trade that for anything. I Let's see. And as the comments come in here, then I'll make sure to get around to it. Daniel Barry Sports Highlight 5851 in the YouTube chat says, uh, should have won that game, but go Rams. Uh, I mean, I'm with you. That's a game they should have won. I think once it got to overtime, it became a game that the Bears had every chance to win. Uh, Before then, it's like, all right, they didn't really have any business being in that kind of situation. Uh, but once that incredible Caleb Williams throw to Cole Kmet in the back of the end zone happened, then everything was fair game. So I agree. It's a game they should have won. I'm not pissed off. I'm not like crushed. I'm definitely bummed out, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a great season. Uh, and there's more than enough that I can be optimistic about with the future. Uh, it's so weird too because I'm comparing this to the double doink loss to the Eagles 7 years ago now. Uh, it was anger. I was totally pissed. Uh, this is just totally different. Uh, because I know the Bears, have played a lot of really good games. They have, quite frankly, much better quarterback play this time around, much better offensive play calling this time around. Uh, and it didn't come down to, one just gimmicky, god awful missed field goal. It came down to the Rams are a really good team. Uh, there's a lot that went into this. The Bears, I can't say, oh, the reason the Bears lost was just because of that, the one interception where DJ Moore just gave up on the route. Like that's definitely a part of it, but there were bits and pieces on defense that didn't go right. There were bits and pieces on offense, especially, the fourth down conversions didn't work out very well. There were some times where maybe they should have gone for field goals, and who knows how that would have ended up. Uh, but yeah, it's a game they should have won. But in spite of all that, I'm not pissed off. I'm not mad about the fact that the Bears lost this game. They're still far ahead of where I expected them to be. Now it's just gonna be a matter of sustaining it. Cream sleeve in the chat. Uh, and I know so for those of you who don't know, there's a running gag. Oh, hold on. So I'm at my dad's. My brother tossed me. This is my dad's cream sleeve hat. Uh, so Cream, if you're still watching here, I know you left this comment a minute ago. Uh, this is my dad's cream sleeve hat. I've got a hat back at my apartment, but I'm with my dad right now, so uh, I don't know for sure. I'm gonna toss it. Oh, Jesus, that was a terrible throw. God. Uh, but yeah, I don't know for sure actually if that wasn't my dad who left that comment because he's on his phone as I'm saying this right now, and there's a little bit of rumors that my father might actually be cream sleeve.
And I have a mop.
He says he has a mop, so I don't know. I uh So that might be him. Anyway, Creep Sleeve says, Bummer Jacob, what a season. Future has never looked brighter heading into the offseason. Can't wait for our swinger draft party and brunch. Cream. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, Dad, you're hilarious. But no, I'm with you. Mostly on the swinger party stuff. That's the big takeaway that I have out of it. But no, I think it's a very, it's an exciting time to be a Bears fan right now. Even in the midst of the loss, the future looks bright. Uh, Again, I keep saying this team's ahead of schedule. Look, you never know in the NFL, especially with young quarterbacks. I mean, you've seen windows can open and close in an instant, just like that. Uh, and I mean, it happened with the Commanders. I know, a ton of their guys got hurt. I mean, it happened with the Lions to an extent. They lost Ben Johnson, they lost Aaron Glenn, they lost Frank Ragnow, they lost Kevin Zeitler. Uh, Seemingly, I mean, they're big moves, but seemingly you figured they'd be fine. And they didn't even make the playoffs after going 15-2 the year before. So anything can happen. I don't want to go into this offseason being complacent. And as I'm sure I'll talk about as, free agency talk picks up, as I've already been saying with the draft, and I'll pick up more on, especially now that the season's over. They can't be complacent. They have clear needs that they need to address. And just as last year's draft was very offensive heavy, I think this year's needs to be very defensive heavy. So I'll have a mock draft at Windy City Gridiron written out, um, but you'll see that go through. Hands to the world. Trey Snuggle says hi. Hi, Trey Snuggle. Sorry I had to block you. You were harassing me in the replies, and I'm a little soy boy, so I got to do what you got to do. Uh, let's see. Steven in the chat says Moore's got to go in a package with the Raiders. So I'm assuming that means, uh, you know, give him to the Raiders in a deal with Max Crosby. I'd give up a first rounder and DJ for Max Crosby any day of the week. I'd give up like a first and a second even for him. I think that's the most I'd probably give up. Two firsts, I think, is a little rich for my liking, considering he's, uh, a little bit older than where Khalil Mack was when he got traded, a little bit older than Micah was where he got traded. But a first and DJ, sign me up. I think the one big move I'd like to see the Bears make is trade DJ Moore. I know this is, it's going to sound totally reactionary for people who don't, you know, who aren't like obsessed with every single one of my tweets and check in on that. I understand if you're not. Uh, but I've been pretty adamant, DJ isn't living up to his salary. He's not living up to his cap hit right now. And when I go onto the all 22 and I check out the the breakdowns and stuff like that on my Patreon, I've covered DJ Moore a couple times this season in like those individual scouting reports that I do. And just the consistency and effort as a route runner just isn't there. And people are lighting him up for it on that on that dagger, and rightfully so. I think he was just kind of jogging through it. And it's you can tell, like, the more you watch wide receivers, you can tell when a receiver is half-assing a route and when a receiver is adjusting the tempo based on the defense that they're seeing. Uh, and the more replays I watch, this is definitely more of the former, where he's just like he doesn't give a shit. And yes, he made some unbelievable plays in the playoffs, late in the season, made stepped up when it really mattered most, but the down by down consistency, if you're paying a receiver that much money, he needs to be way more than what DJ Moore was for the Bears this year. Uh and that happens to be their big ace in the hole. If they do want to free up a ton of money, then DJ, they'd save a good amount of money trading him, not cutting him, but trading him, they'd save a good amount of money. So if that happened to be in a in a trade for Max Crosby, I'd be even happier. Daniel Barry in the YouTube chat saying again here, Caleb is a dog. Also saying earlier, very very ugly game. I don't see us beating Seattle. And then Caleb is a dog. Honestly, I didn't think we beat Seattle either. Uh, it's always one of those situations where it's like, hey, with this Bears team, you never know. Uh, I didn't think they beat the Eagles, and they beat the Eagles. I didn't know if they'd be able to, beat the Packers 2 out of 3 times, but they did. and they won a playoff game against Green Bay. So uh, I say I didn't see us beating Seattle. Anything can happen, but Seattle looked really, really good. I mean, we were talking, me, my brother, and my dad on the way. I think it was on the way to the stadium, or at least coming back. Like Seattle was unbelievable yesterday, and that's a really tough team. That's an incredible defense, a strong run game. When Sam Darnold's hot, he can be dangerous. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, is at least a top two receiver in the NFL. If he's not number one, then Puka is, and JSN's number two. I mean, it's a really close race in my opinion. So, but Caleb's a dog. I agree. And look, was everything perfect? Absolutely not. It's not going to be a perfect game when you have three picks by any stretch of the imagination. I think that there were still a handful of plays where it's like, all right, he threw maybe a little behind him. There were definitely issues with drops. Some of it I mean, obviously it's going to come down to the weather and stuff like that. Some of it might come down to, lack of receiver focus. And some of it might come down to, maybe Caleb was a split second too late or a split second too early on some of his throws. So not a perfect game by any means, not a bad game either. So he finished the day 23 for 42, 257 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 5 carries, 40 rushing yards. ESPN doesn't say what the completion percentage is. That's 54.8, rounds up to 54.8. So again, not the sexiest game by any means, but I mean the big plays, my God. Uh, I think that having that penchant for making big plays when it matters most, especially now in the playoffs, that's a trait that's gonna suit him very, very well. And that's something where if you're a legit, consistent year to year playoff team, you need to have that type of play at quarterback. And Caleb can do that. He's shown that he can elevate an offense by himself almost. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't a perfect game by him by any means. I don't want to sit here and say, "Oh, he's already an elite quarterback. He's one of the best in the league." I don't believe that yet, but I think I think he's the most clutch quarterback in the NFL still. Uh, and I think that the ceiling is just out of this world. Uh, let's see. Going through the let's see, I'm going through the chat here. For those of you who are watching live, feel free to say any comments or replies that you might have. I know I've been kind of rambling on some of these answers, so I'll try and keep it a little more concise so I can get all of you in before the show ends. Gorillas2332 on YouTube says we can explain away this game, but the Bears had the ball with a next score win scenario driving. Should have won. I'm mad. I'm assuming I'm pissed. I'm sad. I mean, I get it. I really do, honestly. And I think that interception was such a killer, obviously, because they were moving the ball down the field. I don't necessarily think they needed to throw that deep, especially with, DJ's inconsistency this year. I don't know if that was the best call. Uh, they could have maybe, they could have potentially executed it if DJ didn't totally half-ass that route, but who was it? Who had that pick? Was it Quentin Lake? No, it was Cam Curl. It was Cam Curl who had the pick. He was in the right position. He, broke on the route perfectly. He understood, uh, I think it was him. I think it was DJ on the deep crosser. I'd have to go back and check instead of the deep end. I think it was DJ on the deep crosser, but uh, either way, Lake read it perfectly. He positioned himself in the right way. Uh, I don't know. I can, think about that, debate it until the cows come home. I would have loved if the Bears were able to just execute when it mattered most there. For one reason or another, it didn't work out. But like I said, I'm not pissed. I'm definitely disappointed. I'm definitely sad about it. But, you know, could be worse, I guess. I don't know. MJ underscore 50 in the YouTube chat saying, hard to win playoff football without a starting left tackle. I'm with you. I'm with you too. I mean, and all things considered, Tooney played admirably to jump in out of position, so quickly on a dime like that. That's not an easy thing to do, no matter how long you've been in the NFL. There are so many different From a footwork perspective, from a mechanical perspective, playing tackle and playing guard are two totally different things. Especially from like a spatial perspective and the type of athlete you're going up against on a consistent basis. It's not an easy switch. Uh, and I'd argue that guard to tackle is harder than tackle to guard. I'm no offensive line coach, but I'd say that suddenly going from the trenches, like along the interior and then kicking out to tackle where you have way more space to work with, especially in pass pro. Uh, I'd say it's a bit more difficult. And my brother's nodding his head. That's all the approval that I need. Because he's an actual ball player and I'm not. So that's all the validation that I need. Oh,
One thing I want to say, Joe Tooney, last time he played left tackle was for the Super Bowl against the Eagles when he was still on the Chiefs, and he was getting cooked by that Eagles D line at left tackle. He was studded at left guard all year for them, and then he got moved to left tackle for that game because they didn't trust Kingsley Sumaida or whatever the last name is pronounced. They didn't trust him at left tackle for the Super Bowl, so they moved Tooney out there, similar to what the Bears did today. And I think Tooney did fine. I think McFadden did all right today, too. Joe Tooney didn't get cooked like he did against the Eagles D-line, but I was worried about that for the Rams because Rams D-line is fantastic.
Yeah.
I was worried that might be an issue for us, but I mean, other than the pressure on that last fourth down play, I don't think he didn't really allow us. They didn't allow a sack from that left side, I don't think.
Yeah, and the guard played well.
Yeah, McFadden played well too.
Yeah, I think all things considered, I mean, like how good of a defensive line that is, like how they have it's four really good dudes. I mean, Verse and Young, those are both Pro Bowl talents. Kobe Turner's one of the most underrated D tackles in the league.
Braden Fisk.
Braden Fisk is really good. That's not an easy assignment. And I think the offensive line, all things considered, performed pretty admirably. Absolutely. So I'm with you there. Let's see. I'll touch on this quick. Jay Cutlets, do you want DJ gone? I do. Like I said earlier in the show, and I know this comment was left 12 minutes ago, so you might have sent this in before I started talking about it. But yeah, I think the financial aspect of it isn't great. At least for the production you're getting, the effort isn't what you should be getting out of a guy who's making that much money. And I think the Bears have at least a tiny bit of leverage in that it's a weak wide receiver group at free agency this year. You have George Pickens, who's going to get a shit ton of money. You have Alec Pierce, who's going to get a shit ton of money. Who else do you pay in that receiver class? I mean, there are going to be a lot of guys who are going to be making somewhere around like $15 million. That's how much, give or take, that a team would be on the hook for with DJ Moore if they trade for him this offseason. The Bears are going to have like $8-9 million of a cap hit if they trade him. I'd have to go and check the numbers, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. I know because I've looked at it enough times. And I think, would you rather give up like a 4th round pick and pay $15 million for DJ Moore, or would you rather pay $15 million to, I mean, I'm blanking. I don't even know which wide receivers are supposed to hit free agency this year. Christian Kirk. Do you pay C. Kirk that much money? Well, Wan'Dale Robinson, I would, but Rashid Shaheed didn't really do much of anything with the Seahawks. Mike Evans is 32 years old. Romeo Dobbs, no, I'm not paying him that much money. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of leverage in that DJ's better than a lot of the options out there. I mean, sure, you have to give up a pick, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. Steve Infante, my dad, coming in. Hold on, let's see. Caleb's stats were equal to Stafford's minus the interceptions. 2 of the 3 were not his fault, and Bears receivers dropped at least 5-6 passes. He is a legend of the making. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what his adjusted completion percentage is when you factor in throwaways and drops. I didn't notice too many throwaways in this game, but I definitely noticed a handful of drops. And like I said, part of that's going to come down to just the weather being shit. But still, it's something that makes you think a little bit. Like Caleb put up some solid numbers. I mean, the picks are ugly to look at right out of the gate, but still 257 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty damn good. If a few more of those passes were caught and weren't dropped, I mean, you could be looking at 300 yards. I don't know. Also, I just saw Gorillas with a Z 2332 is our pal Dr. Mason West. Uh, so I appreciate you coming in. I couldn't tell because of the username, but I could see in the profile picture, it's real small on my screen, but I'm like, he looks familiar. I feel like I've seen that guy before. So that is Second City Gridiron Zone, Dr. Mason West. Appreciate you coming in, man. Good to see you. My dad also says we have an unhealthy amount of Flo and Santos pizza. Jacob needs to do a quick food review. Uh, we do. And I'll also say Andrew Zangri popped in, friend of the show. Jacob, I just picked up an unhealthy amount of Taco Bell. Uh, I've been there. I've been there. So I think that's a good night. That's a good night to stay in and just gorge away. So we do have some wonderful Flo and Santos pizza. I'm not sponsored by Flo and Santos, but I think I should be. Yeah, my brother's. He's asking if you can use the microwave. Yeah, you can use the goddamn microwave. Yeah, so yeah, heat it up. But anyway, Flo and Santos has been my go-to post game spot for the Bears for years, like probably like close to 10 years, probably. Yeah, damn near. Uh, the pizza, very good. The pierogies, very good. I mean, I'm half Italian, half Polish, so it's like the best of both worlds. Uh, Drinks are good. They've always got games on. We've got some takeout here, and I've got some. I love onions on my pizza, so we got some onion pizza here. Been sitting for a little bit, but I mean, it's still all the flavor is going to be there. So, uh, I guess I'll just go right in. Uh, I mean, it's still great. It's great. What do you want me to say? I've been telling people to go to Flo and Santos, and they won't sponsor me. I'm doing free press for you guys. Just imagine how much more. If you don't even pay me money, I don't need money. I just need the pizza. That's all I need. Uh, 'Cause, yeah, this is gas. This is so good. Uh, let's see. Jack Romer says, "What do you think about Ben's play calling tonight?" I didn't love the fourth down calls, not at all. And I just realized I was holding this pizza the entire time. I guess I don't really need to. But the fourth down decision making and the play calls were a little suspicious to me. Maybe not suspicious, suspect for sure. And I didn't love running the ball up the middle on 3rd and 1 with DeAndre Swift and coming back in, doing the exact same thing with Kyle Monangai. I don't know. I think it was a little too vanilla, which is weird because we usually, if we criticize Ben Johnson, we say he gets a little too cute. I think it was a bit of the opposite this time. That first fourth down attempt they had, I would have kicked the field goal 100%. I tweeted it at the time. I said, hey, you moved the ball down the field really well. Just get some points. That's a win. But, for better or worse, Ben Johnson's an aggressive head coach. This time it just didn't work out. So I think down the stretch, honestly, I think the play designs were well executed in the passing game for the most part. I think they attacked the middle of the field pretty well. I think that some of the uh, some of the swing out passes to Luther Burden turned out really well. I mean, it's just as simple as get your stud yak receiver as much space as to work with as possible. So, I mean, that made sense to me. Targeting Colson Loveland across the middle of the field, smart. Roma Dunze only caught 2 of his 6 targets, but he had some solid plays. One went for 27, the other was maybe 17. So again, maybe not as high volume as you'd want, but he's still making plays. He's still making an impact. Uh, there was good and bad, I guess is the best way to say what Ben Johnson performed today. You would have wanted more out of someone who's been so good at certain points over the year. Uh, I think the fourth down, the boldness, I guess, kind of came back to bite him every once in a while, but uh, I'd give it like a C or a C minus probably for his play calling. I mean, we've seen way worse. As Bears fans, we've seen way worse. Think about all the garbage that we've had in the offensive coaching staff over the last decade plus. I mean, this was this was this was Einstein level intelligence compared to those. But by Ben Johnson's standards, it was below average. Matt Heel says, "When does the pain stop? I don't know. I hope soon. I hope it does real soon." Grits, I just got home. Nothing can put into words the anger I'm feeling. The lights are on in my home, but my wife and kids seem to be hiding somewhere in the house. I will find them. Jesus Christ. Should, fuck. Should I call the cops? Like, are you okay? I pray for your family, dude. Shit. All right. Well, I'm gonna search back with Grits in like 2 days to see if he gets arrested. But thanks for letting me know, I guess. MJ underscore 50 again says, I'm not sure if it's effort, but to me, DJ clearly struggles with playing on time and in structure, which is not something that works with Caleb's QB style. I'm with you. And again, because I'm getting to some of these comments a little bit late, I don't know if this was sent before I talked about DJ and the effort. I don't know if this was before or after, but I do think that part of it definitely comes down to effort. I just think that, especially when he's not the designated first read, he just the urgency isn't there. There's not much like suddenness in his movements. Uh, you know, going into his transitions. Uh, I just don't think like he really sells those route concepts well going through his stems. And it's like, all right, you can pretty clearly tell what he's going to run. And if it's an athletic enough cornerback and a smart enough, well, doesn't even have to be like a super smart cornerback, like an average starter level with good athleticism, you can act on that pretty quickly. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I just think it's not a great fit. I think it was Nico, uh, Elite Takes on Twitter, what he said, what his username is. I think it's at Elite Takes. Maybe there's an underscore in there. I don't remember, but he said something along the lines of, I didn't think that DJ Moore was a good fit for this Bears offense. Uh, as soon as they hired Ben Johnson, and it's, looking to be the case. I think that's the one we were talking, me, my dad, and my brother on the drive back from Soldier Field, where you look at it, all the skill position players play their ass off. I mean, you go Luther Burden, bust his ass as a blocker. There were concerns about that coming out of the draft. They're not concerns anymore. Roma Dunze, when he's been healthy, has been a solid run blocker. Uh, Olamide Zacchaeus, for as small as he is, blocks his ass off. Cole Komet, Colston Loveland both block their ass off. Durham Smythe blocks his ass off. DJ Moore, I don't know, you know, and I know I mentioned the route running effort as well, but the lack of the no block, no rock. I guess I think part of that might stem from why DJ's role kind of decreased over the course of the year, just because there's not the same effort, there's not the same urgency, at least from my standpoint. Again, he's a hell of a football player. Had some really good moments with the Bears. I think if he ends up somewhere else, he's going to contribute at a pretty high level. But they paid him, and it just hasn't been the same. Just Beppy, just Beepie. I know you've told me before how to pronounce it, and I forgot it. But I appreciate you coming in the show as always. Thank you for all your reporting this season, Jacob. I've never had more fun watching this team. FTP indeed. Uh, I appreciate the kind words on that. It's been a lot of fun talking about this team this year. And it's been really fun doing these post game shows. I mean, this is the first year that I'm doing these live post game shows on YouTube, on Twitter. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a fun ride. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. I'm grateful to be a part of your guys' Sunday. I know that there are a lot of other post game shows out there on Twitter, on YouTube, on the radio, on wherever. Uh, And I know literally, I got in here late. The Bears film room guys got like a good 20-minute head start on me. So there are again like a lot of different options that you guys have for some of these post game shows, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in here over the course of the season. So it truly means a lot. Thank you. Uh, let's see. I'm going through the chat here. Uh, if anybody has any comments or questions or anything like that about the game, about what's next, the rest of the off season, feel free to let me know. But I'm going in here. Ryan Schlancer, 1657 in the YouTube chat says, I like Jade Walker to help replace DJ Moore, then go draft a speed receiver too. So I think receiver, I expect him to make some sort of move. If it's the draft, I don't know what that's going to be like. I think Jade Walker showed enough to where it's like, all right, he's a good depth receiver piece. I haven't seen enough from a volume perspective to be like, all right, he's wide receiver 3 next year, no debate. But I think that he's shown enough. He belongs on this 53-man roster for sure. Uh, I think, he could do well in like a wide receiver 4 sort of role. You do have Olamide Zaccheaus slated to hit free agency. I don't know. I think if you play him in more of like a reserve role, like you did in the second half of the season, and you don't throw the ball down his throat, if you don't, or just don't spam that Zacchaeus button, so to speak, so many times, uh, then I think he could be a very good value. Bringing back on a similar 1 year deal with similar pay. I think it was like $1.5 million. I think that's really good value for a guy like Zacchaeus. So I do that if possible. Have Jade Walker to compete for some playing time, and then go draft a speed receiver too. And the good thing is, I think there are a handful of really good speed receivers in this class. Uh, I think he's going to end up being a day 2 guy, but Brendan Thompson out of Mississippi State, remember that name. Small dude. He's like 5'9", 170, but he is just such a good athlete. Uh, Incredible breakaway speed. He's got the acceleration off the line of scrimmage, and then the deep speed from there to take the top off of defense. He's shifty as a route runner, as a ball carrier. There's a lot to like there for sure. So he's a guy that I like. Marion Brown out of LSU, transfer from Kentucky, is another guy I've had my eye on for a long time. He'd be a good day 3 sort of speedster. Uh, Emmanuel Henderson out of Kansas, I think, has got some juice as well. I know a lot of you guys who follow me are Iowa fans. I found that out over the last like 2-3 years or so, seeing all the Tory Taylor hype, and anytime I go into my draft stuff, I have people talking to me about Iowa prospects. Caden Weegan, the receiver out of Iowa, more of a pure return specialist guy, but he's the best returner in college football. He's the best returner in this draft class. Really good athlete, just one of the best playmakers with his hands on special teams I've ever seen. Uh, I think he's a day 3 guy just because Iowa never really used him as a true like starting receiver. So there are a lot of questions there. But take a guy in like the 7th round or something like that, or maybe trade up into the 6th, round 6 or 7 or something like that. Uh, then maybe you could justify using a pick on that. Duvernay is also slated to hit free agency too. I mean, he's a solid returner. I don't know if he's going to return or not to the team. He'll be returning kicks though. I don't know what the fuck. Whatever. John McGlynn also says DJ Moore for Max Crosby, and he also says Phil's Pizza on 35th Street is the best pizza in Chicago. Period. I haven't been to Phil's. Have you been to Phil's?
I've not.
Okay.
We're going.
I guess we're going. Yeah, so John's a good dude. Plainfield native. Uh Gotta respect that. Love Pville. I think I'm the only one who calls it that. But anyway, I haven't been to Phil's. I'll have to check that out. Uh Mike Benner, FW in the YouTube chat also says this pizza review from earlier. The pizza review is helping to heal the pain of losing, though. Thank you. And just for that, I think I've earned another bite of this delicious uh, onion pizza from Flo and Santos. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear on my microphone. There's a nice crisp crunch on that. Cheese is great. I could eat this every day. I mean, I shouldn't, because then I get a lot more fat comments than I already have. But tremendous food. Anyway, Mike Benner also says, "Man, I am happy for the season. It was more than I expected. We had chance after chance to take the lead and just couldn't get past third down to save our lives." I'm with you, and it's a bummer the way that it all turned out. Uh, and I agree. Like they had a lot of opportunities. Stafford wasn't his usual self. I mean, Dennis Allen deserves a ton of credit for the heavy blitz, throwing Stafford off schedule. I think at this stage of his career, I mean, he still has a really good arm, but he doesn't have the mobility and creativity anymore needed to, extend those plays on a consistent basis. It's just that his arm talent is incredible, the accuracy is incredible, and he makes good reads with the football. That's why he was playing at an MVP level this year. That's probably why he's going to win MVP this year. Uh, when you throw him off balance with the blitz and you factor in the snowy weather, I mean, I think the Bears had the perfect game plan, more or less. There were just a couple key plays that just didn't work out. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think it was a flawed performance. Play calling from Ben Johnson. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what more to say that hasn't already been said. I think it's a still a great season, all things considered. I'm very happy with 11-6, winning the division, winning a playoff game, beating the Packers twice, beating the Packers in the playoffs. Uh, Finally getting that first playoff win in 15 years. I mean, Christ Almighty. But yeah, I'm with you to have the NFC Championship game like so close within reach. It's a bummer. It's a bummer for sure. Andrew's angry coming in. I hope the Taco Bell is going strong right now. He said a couple things too. Uh, I'll go on I'll go on a Zangri run here, shouting out some of the comments. So like a few times we had first and goal, ran it three straight times, then called the pass, which everyone knew was coming. Again, nitpicking, but tough for sure. Uh, yeah, I mean I'm with you on that. I think it's uncharacteristically vanilla. Uh, for what Ben Johnson was up to usually this year. And then he said defense and DA was great all night, but called it out prior to the snap, way too soft there. I think that was the Puka being open on that 3rd and 6. They sent the house. They had Puka like literally right there, like just beyond the sticks, and then he happened to have a great run after the catch, but totally unguarded, like totally unaccounted for. As George McPhill mentions in the chat too, what was Da thinking leaving Puka open on 3rd and 6? I think in a very well coached game by Dennis Allen, that's the one play where I just totally scratched my head. That didn't make any sense at all to me. Uh, but let's see. Trade DJ to North Korea. I'll take that. And then yeah, guys, if we had Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison, we would have won. I'm with you. Yeah, sign me up. Yeah. That's just goes to show that's why you take the haul every single time. If they had a true alpha male quarterback like Justin Fields and a bigger receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., who knows? Maybe you win 6 games. So I don't know. That's the one selfish thing that I can take away from this season is all those people that I argued with. What was that? 2 years ago now? Just look so fucking dumb now. Uh, and now that the season's over, now that you know, the happiness of, oh, look at us, all of our Bears teams doing really well. I can gloat a little bit that they know who they are. But anyway, Josh Gordon's bong in the chat says, what has to happen this offseason for Caleb to realize the game is 4 quarters? I love him, I do, but man, it's frustrating sometimes. You knew the magic was going to run out eventually, and tonight it did. Uh, I mean, to an extent, I get that. I think there needs to be much more consistency with Caleb over the course of a full game. I mean, the clutch ability speaks for itself. In the fourth quarter, tremendous. Uh, few better, if any. But I think that there's definitely a disconnect still early on in the game. I think part of it comes down to coaching. I think part of it comes down to just Caleb, maybe it's nerves, maybe it's, just working his way. He can't get a great feel for the defense until later in the game, and it takes him a little longer to figure that out. I don't know. I'm not in the coaching room, so I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm not in the house hall, but that's going to be big, I think, for him this year or this off season. Excuse me, is stretching it out over the full course of four quarters and well, one having the intermediate accuracy down. I think they're still from 10 to 19 yards, still a little shaky. 20 plus, he's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. Short passes, he got better. I think those screens look a lot better. The swing passes, the quick hike, step back, quick step, quick dump off. The accuracy, the footwork looked a lot better. And I think that's not as nearly as big of a problem as it was earlier in the season. So he's shown he can improve. Absolutely. And look at some of the things he struggled with last year. He got like I said, better at deep ball, better on the screens, way better avoiding sacks, extending the play, know when to throw the ball away. I mean, Lord knows how many yards he saved the Bears offense by finally learning how to throw the ball away and knowing where and when to extend the play to be able to, either run, try for a throw or just throw the ball away. Uh, I don't think that's learning either, though. Like he did that at USC. I think it's just comfortability in the NFL game. Uh, Mike Benner in the YouTube chat also says Luther Burden had some great spin moves today. Bulls should sign him to a 10-day contract. I'd take it. I mean, he's fast. He's like you said, he can spin. I mean, the Bulls won tonight. I, didn't watch the game obviously because the Bears are playing. I was at that game, but Bulls beat the Nets. A shitty Nets team, but you never know. Get a backcourt, uh, get a guard duo of Kobe White and Luther Burden while Josh Giddey's out. Sure, why the hell not? That'd be pretty sweet. Uh, my aunt, hello, it says hey with a lot of E's and a lot of Y's. Hello. Hi, Aunt Linda. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming in. I was at, uh, I saw her, was that a week ago now? Probably.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And she was telling me, she tunes in with on my post game shows and stuff like that, and she'll, likes to throw a comment every once in a while to let me know that she's there. So I appreciate that. So now I'm gonna watch my language a lot more, and I'm not gonna make any sex jokes or anything. So thanks for letting me know you're here. Glad to see you. Hallis Beer Hall, friends of the show. We need to sign Henry Ruggs. And then it was immediately followed by, I think if Joe Trion Shoyinka played, that would be worth 3 points at least. Uh, Hallis Beer Hall is on a run right now. Should we trade Andrew Billings to United Airlines for Sully Sullenberger? I know Sully is clutch under pressure and knows how to save everyone on his team. Hell yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Andrew Billings, I don't know if it was when he was in college or what, but he studied to get his pilot license, and that's what he wants to do after his NFL career's over. My brother says that plane's not going off the ground. How's he gonna fit in that cockpit? Like, if he has to go to the bathroom in a plane, he's fucked.
Two men planes, like just a single.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the logistics on that are gonna look like. That's gonna be a nightmare because he's listed at what? He's like listed 310. There's no chance he's 310. He's closer to 410 than he is 310. Yeah, literally. He's the just one of the largest human beings I've ever seen. One of the widest human beings I've ever seen. Love him though. Let's see. Real question. Real question from Hallis Beer Hall. Not to uh, nullify how important it is to say that the Bears need to sign Henry Ruggs. But do you think Jalen Johnson will be good again? I think he's not healthy at all. But even when he's healthy, I don't think he's worth paying top cornerback money. I don't think he was healthy. The second stretch of the year, coming back from injury, I think he's definitely looked a step slow. Uh, I think it was the Packers game where I watched him for my Patreon scouting reports, and if you go back and watch, the route recognition's all there. Like he's quick to understand what's going on, to understand different route combinations, figure out what his assignment is in zone, how to stick with his man, uh, in press man, off man, whatever the look might be. Uh, he just looks a step slower. See ya. Drive safe.
You too. You too.
All right. Say goodbye to everyone, Joey.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Have
He's
a great night.
there. He goes.
Stay safe.
Yes. Yeah, I think that just the explosiveness wasn't as good down the stretch. The instincts are still there. The technique's still there. But I'm hoping that with a full off season, I hope he can get back there. So I'm not looking to be like, oh, the Bears need to dump Jalen Johnson immediately or anything like that. No, like I'm still a firm believer he'll be a cornerback one next year. But I definitely think it showed at times like he was battling through injury, and I respect that. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, especially given the circumstances of the Bears, being in the playoffs and making that push. I'm sure he pushed himself really hard, so I got to give him props to that. Uh, my dad says too. I just rewatched the overtime interception, and DJ absolutely gave up. Caleb threw a perfect ball, and if DJ flattened out, horrible and inexcusable. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you too. Like looking that back over, it was kind of clear watching the game live at the stadium, but looking back at the replays and stuff like that, and watching I know there was a coach's film angle too.
Chase
It,
Daniel showed it perfectly.
yeah,
Came up.
Chase Daniel,
Yeah.
and I know uh, Terrell Owens said too that he thought it was DJ Moore's fault. Like looking at that, looking at the route, the depth of the route, the effort and the tempo and everything like that just wasn't there. Uh, yeah, I think maybe not solely on DJ, but it's pretty heavily on DJ. And then House Beer Hall also mentioned too. Uh, yeah, DJ definitely could have flattened the route out. However, Caleb needs to throw that ball closer to DJ as opposed to lead him by that much. Given that you don't need that huge play, just no INT. Uh, I mean, and honestly, I don't think they necessarily needed that big deep ball. I think they could have found other ways to move the ball down the field. That's just what they called at that given time, and I can't hate them on it. Like the Bears have seen success across the middle of the field all season, especially a little bit deeper down the field. Like that's where Caleb thrives. But yeah, I think it was just a recipe for disaster the way that the route was run. Uh, I don't love that specific call in that moment, but then again, if it ended up working out, I'd probably be calling Ben Johnson a genius for it. So take that with a grain of salt. Uh, Julian Luciano said, cue up the tweet, Jacob. You know the tweet. A game, I mean, the results sucked. I thought the game was a lot of fun. And going to that game and experiencing that Caleb throw, especially, was nuts. Being at Soldier Field in a playoff environment for the second week in a row, I mean, that's a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, I mean, obviously, it didn't end up the way that we wanted it to, but still a pretty good time. Brandon said, well, actually, hold on, I'm going to pull this up real quick. And then I'll bring, because I know Brandon has two questions in there too. So I'm going to queue those up. But Zangri said in his post game presser, he's going to work on accuracy and footwork. And I think that that's huge. The footwork piece, especially because, like I mentioned, the intermediate ball just isn't all the way where it needs to be right now, especially once you get outside of the numbers. I think he has that good timing. He has that good touch across the middle of the field, but outside the numbers to the left, to the right, just isn't where it needs to be yet. Too many airmail throws. And I think a lot of that does come down to footwork. Again, take it with a grain of salt because it's me. But when I watch the tape over, there's sometimes like the feet just aren't like properly set. And I think some of it might be like he's overthinking the steps too. Like it's not second nature for him. Going through that drop back and then having that proper weight distribution and the follow through whenever he gets to the apex of his drop back and delivers the ball. So that's interesting. I didn't end up watching the post game presser that he had, but that checks out for sure. Brandon says we need to have some honest conversations about some personnel. Should there be more speed at the skill positions like the Lions have with Johnson in Detroit? Is Jalen Johnson worth the cap space being so awful against the run? And he goes on to follow. Uh, I think speed, I mean, would definitely help. Luther Burden is a very good athlete. He's more of a sideline to sideline type of guy. I mean, he's got very good breakaway speed, but you don't really have like that 4-3 or 4-2 athlete at wide receiver right now. Rome is like I'd argue, what he ended up running like in the high 4.4s, something like that. Yeah, 4.45 was what he ended up running. I think his game speed can trend like a little more towards like that 4.48, 4.51 sort of speed. Uh, Luther's a legit 4.4, but you don't have that game breaking athlete. They don't even have to be like the best route runner, the most technically refined. Uh, they just need to be athletic to have that element of the jet sweep, to have that element of the end around. Uh, Utilize some more screens. One thing that I liked that the Bears did, they didn't do a ton of, but every once in a while they'd have Luther in the backfield or they'd have DJ in the backfield. I think it'd be pretty sweet to have like a true speed receiver and to take advantage, put them in the backfield, have a linebacker go up against them or a safety or something like that where they have the clear speed advantage. Uh, Maybe have them run a wheel route out of the backfield or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Uh, and then he also says, is Javon Dexter worth it? How can we get more linebacker help? Uh, I think that there's a lot to like with Dexter uh, as a pass rusher. As a run defender, I I'm not all that impressed. I think that his ability to get after the passer is extremely valuable, and that combined with his youth, combined with his speed for the position, I think that when his time is done on his rookie deal, I think he's going to get paid a lot of money. I don't know if it's going to come from the Bears or who it's going to come from, but I think that teams are going to see, oh, here's a defensive tackle who can rush the passer pretty well. Let's pay him a lot of money. But for me to pay a D tackle a ton of money, I want them to be a little bit more consistent against the run game. And we're in what, year 3 now of Dexter in Chicago. He just hasn't, reached that apex yet as a run defender. The pad level's still an issue. Uh, And that's such a big part of it too, is him being taller, but you see tall defensive tackles who are able to, get bend in their knees, who are able to distribute their weight properly, and to have that spatial awareness needed to know when and how to stack and shed those blocks and make tackles against the run. I mean, seriously, like Dexter, I think could be way better as a run defender than he is because he has the length, he has the explosiveness. Uh, I just don't think that one, he has the gap awareness that some of the other, like some other top run defending defensive tackles have in this class or in the league, I guess. Uh, and then two, it's just a leverage issue. I mean, it was an issue for him at Florida. He's just so upright. Uh, and that can definitely hurt you a lot more as a run defender than it does as a pass rusher. So How can we get more linebacker help? I'm curious to see how they attack that too, because TJ Edwards had a decent year. Uh, Injuries worry me a little bit. He's missing time. Uh, and like at this stage, what he's either 30 right now or he's going to be turning 30 going into this. Yeah, so he'll be 30 in August. He's more than likely he has more NFL football as a starter behind him than ahead of him. And I think the injuries are a concern. He's not a super explosive athlete to begin with, but when you factor all that in, I don't think he's all that valuable in coverage at this stage in his career. Tremaine Edmonds again started off the season really well, uh, but as the season progressed, he missed some time due to injuries. When he came back, his impact wasn't felt nearly as strongly. Uh, I think that you're looking at bringing back DeMarco Jackson, and then at linebacker, something that I'd try and do is get some depth in like round 4, round 5. Uh, because I think at linebacker, the hit rate of you finding a starter, it doesn't even have to be a star, but just a starter in those rounds are higher than, say a quarterback or an edge rusher, or a corner. Linebacker, you typically easier to find like solid level contributors at that position. So there are a handful of guys I'm sure in the draft that you're going to hear me pound the table for over the course of the year. Aiden Fisher out of Indiana is one of them. I love just the instincts and the motor that he plays with. He's not the biggest guy, but he plays his ass off. Uh, Bryce Betcher from Oregon. I don't know where he's going to end up drafted. I have him like early round 4, kind of. He got drafted by the Astros in Major League Baseball, but I think his future is going to be in the NFL. And he's, again, a really good athlete, just a smart player. Uh, let's see, I'll keep going. Red Murdoch out of Buffalo. It's a smaller school guy, but and I know he led the nation in tackles last year. Uh, Not the like most freakish athlete out there, but just again like a heat-seeking missile to the football. Those are a couple other guys that I like. And like I said, as the offseason heats up, I'm going to keep talking about these draft prospects. It's going to get annoying almost how much I'll be tweeting about the draft, but uh, excited to get into that and have you guys follow along. Uh, Josh Gordon's Bong says, and House Beer Hall agrees in the replies. DeMarco Jackson is better than TJ. Also, not going to lie. I mean, honestly, I don't think you're far off. I don't notice like a massive drop off. I think linebacker is still a little bit of a weakness, no matter which way you spin it. But I don't think that DeMarco Jackson is $10 million in annual salary worse than TJ Edwards right now, which financially that's the way things are between the two. But I don't think there's that big of a gap at all, which one is good for DeMarco Jackson, but two, I think it's bad for TJ Edwards because they gave him that extension this offseason. I was a little wary on it. Uh, Still plenty of time for him to turn it around, but this year I wasn't particularly impressed. Uh, Hallis Beer Hall says, who has caused more damage to the city of Chicago, James Odunze or Rob Blagojevich? Uh, so for those of you who don't know, as I take a sip real quick, James Odunze is Rome's dad. He has been very vocal about his son needing more targets and more touches. There was a time that he wanted the Bears to trade Rome so that his son could get more targets. And look, like I think Odunze is a talented receiver. He's had some really good flashes. He started off the year incredibly hot. He was on a 1,000-yard receiving pace for like the first half of the year, and then missed time due to injury. Coming back wasn't all that hot. Uh, I don't know. I think when you factor in the fact he was a top 10 pick, you factor in some of minor availability issues, you factor in He's not nearly as good and in contested catch situations as he was advertised as coming out of the draft. I say as advertised as though I wasn't one of the people doing the advertising. I had Odunze, I think it was my fourth best overall prospect in that class. So it kind of pains me to say some of this stuff about him, but he hasn't lived up to being a top 10 pick right now. It's not like Colston Loveland where it's like, okay, holy shit, yes, that's a slam dunk pick. That's looking really good right now. Odunze, I haven't really seen it all come together. Uh, the ability to win at the catch point isn't as good as it was in college. Uh, and, you know, I think Chicago naturally is stricter on their athletes as a fan base, regardless of what team it is. And then you have his dad coming in and talking all this shit and talking about how the Bears are messing up his son, like the way that they're using him. They're not giving him enough targets. And then when they do give him targets, nothing really comes of it. It's a recipe for disaster. So I say this as someone who, I mean, obviously I have bias towards Odunze because one, he's on my favorite team, and two, he was one of my favorite draft prospects in his class. I really, really want him to succeed. Tell your dad to shut up. I'm sorry. I can't say shut up to you, Dad. Uh,
Who's saying that?
well, I don't know. I feel guilty saying that, but I think also once you're an adult, you can be like, hey, I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate the sentiment of you wanting me to get more touches. You know, thank you. But you're doing me more harm than good by complaining and stealing all these headlines and having this damage my reputation. So my answer is James Adudze. Rod Blagojevich, sure, corrupt politician. There, Lord knows how many of those in Illinois. Uh, anyway, what we're looking for is a Tariq Cohen type of player. Andrew Zager, yes, I agree. I'm with you. I think Tariq Cohen would be so much fun in a Ben Johnson offense. Uh, let's see. I'm going through. All right, here we go. Oh, I probably shouldn't have clicked on this one, but it's too late now. If you see the YouTube chat, it's there. If you had to guess, who do Bears fans hate more? Would you say Adolf Hitler or Valus Jones Jr.? I would hope it's Hitler to hate more. Uh, fuck. All right. Well, on that note, but I'm going to turn this off so I don't get in trouble. But I will say on Valus Jones, what a someone mentioned that in the chat earlier. Like what? Like the stuff that he posted, laughing at the Bears for losing that game. I'm like, what a clown. And I don't attack play. I don't love attacking players individually because at the end of the day, they're human beings. I judge them. I believe in judging people for their character more so than how they are at their job, more than how they perform as NFL players. But for Valus Jones to laugh at the Bears, like, what do they owe you? They don't owe you shit. What do you have, Valus Jones? What do you have to be salty about? That the Bears, oh, they let you go? You sucked. You were terrible. You were, and it's saying a lot when you have guys, oh, like Brandon Harden in 2012, who didn't suit up a goddamn snap. I don't think. I'd rather have that than Valus Jones. He was a complete negative asset to the organization. He was a bad pick when it happened. And I know it's, you know, the Bears made it to the playoffs. They won the division. So Ryan Poles is, you know, a little bit of the heat's off him now. But it was a bad pick when it happened. It's a terrible pick in retrospect. Uh, talking all this shit that they cut him. Lord knows how many fumbles he had. He was supposed to be this superstar returner. He had way more fumbles than he had big returns. He didn't develop shit as a receiver. They had to move him into running back because his dumbass couldn't figure out how to run a full route tree. Uh, like the Bears gave you everything you didn't deserve. And now this like and then you're going to laugh at them losing. Like be a goddamn man. Accept the fact that you weren't good enough. The Bears realized that and they cut ties with you. That's why you're on the practice squad for the Seahawks and not consistently lining up at receiver where you were drafted or at running back where they had to move you to try and salvage your career. I don't know. I don't know. There are a lot of Packers fans are talking shit too. I don't really care too much about that because the Bears made it farther than the Packers. The Bears won in the playoffs when it mattered in the wild card game. Uh, they keep bitching and moaning about Matt LaFleur, and then they're going to be excited that they signed him to a contract extension. They can't pick a lane on that. I don't really care about what the Packers fans have to say, but seeing that from Velus Jones kind of irked me a little bit. It's like, dude, you have no self awareness of who you are. You've got a boatload of money. Good on you for that, you know? Like, hell yeah, get your bag. But the the gigantic weight of expectations collapsed on you and you weren't ready to handle that. And instead of accepting the blame like a goddamn man, you're just going to be like, oh no, the Bears screwed me over. They didn't screw you over. You screwed you over because you fucking suck. So that's going to do it for Wrap It Up with Jacob Infante. Thanks for tuning in this season. It's been a blast. I appreciate each and every one of you who've tuned in live. Uh, whether it's been on YouTube, everyone who's been contributing here in my Twitter streams as well. Make sure to follow me there at Jacob Infante 24. Check out the Second City Gridiron YouTube page. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you're watching on there. It truly means a lot to me and everybody else on the channel who put out content there. Uh, Check us out on Facebook as well at Second City Gridiron. Uh, Stay tuned for my Bears 7-round mock draft at Windy City Gridiron. Whenever that comes out, I'm going to have some exclusive Bears and draft content on my Patreon as well, patreon.com/Jacob Infante. Uh, Also, I'm going to have a lot of NFL stuff as well at Pro Football and Sports Network. Make sure to check that out as well. That's the other website I write for. Do a lot of mostly like league wide stuff. My Bears specific content is, either my tweets or my, on Windy City Gridiron. But either way, I'm gonna, we still have to figure out what the podcast schedule is going to look like. I'm gonna try and go live. Over the course of the off season as well. Obviously, they're not going to be post game recaps like this one, but we're going to try and figure some stuff out so you'll all get your dose of the Jakester, whether you like it or not. I'm going to shove myself down your throat, which when I put it like that, it's a little bit worrying, but it's too late. Uh, anyway, I guess that's the fitting way to end this show. Bears lose to the Rams 20-17 in overtime. The regular season is over. The offseason's underway. Disappointing end of the season, but all things considered, just a tremendous season, shattering all expectations, making it to the divisional round, winning a playoff game, winning the division. The future's bright. So we'll see whenever's next. We'll see what the future looks like for the Bears. We'll see what the future looks like for uh, the rest of the offseason content here at Second City Gridiron, but make sure to check us out there as well. Stay tuned for more. And I'm going to do whatever I can to just put out as much draft content as possible. So appreciate you guys again. This has been Wrap It Up with Jacob Infante. Again, appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in this season and bear down.